The wife cheats on her husband for 25 years. Her husband discovers the secret, but it is too late. Hello, everyone. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now let's begin the video. Using a throwaway for obvious reasons with certain specifics modified to preserve anonymity. The movie kicks off with on a luxury yacht in Milan, looking incredibly joyful. Not long after, we see her walking the runway at a fashion show alongside her husband, Mark, and their daughter, Grace. It's obvious that is a shoe designer, with all the models wearing her creations. After the show wraps up, Mark and Grace head to the model's dressing room. Goes to greet her colleague, Lisa, the designer, and Lisa's assistant, Ralph. At that moment, Grace tells her father she's leaving because her husband, George, is waiting outside. She says goodbye to her mom and departs with George. Meanwhile, Ralph's friend and Lisa's assistant tries to persuade her not to retire, but explains she's already made up her mind and believes now's the right time. Mark then approaches, saying, "You know Ralph," and she responds, "Yes." Mark then states, "I'll leave you with them and meet you at the restaurant so we can celebrate this moment." Later that evening, arrives at the restaurant where Mark is waiting. She sits down, and they chat for a bit. Mark mentions how much he loves her shoes but also admits he doesn't get along with Lisa or Ralph. They choose their dinner from the menu, and Mark remarks that the restaurant serves fish unlike any other in Milan. We find out that often travels to Milan to finalize deals with shoe stores. Then asks Mark, "Have you ever felt like being with someone else besides me?" He quickly replies, "No, I've spent more than half my life with you. My love for you has never waned and I've never felt the need for anyone else." She replies, "I love you so much that if I didn't, I would left you a long time ago." A few days later, tells Mark she's heading to Milan to settle some business with clients. She packs her bags and departs. Fast forward 9 months and we see Mark clearing clothes out of the house. At the same time, Grace visits her father, noticing him collecting her mother's belongings. He hands the clothes to Grace, saying, "I don't want to see these again." She replies, "We're the same size, but I don't want them." At that moment, Mark finds phone, pockets it, and puts it in his desk drawer. Then Grace hands him a note that left her, and when he reads it, it simply says, "Lake." That night, a voice message arrives on his phone. When Mark plays it, he hears a man saying, "I miss you so much. I haven't heard your voice in ages and I wish I could see you." Mark is rocked. He never imagined might been unfaithful for so long. He leaves her phone on his laptop and goes upstairs to sleep, but his mind keeps racing. Driven to find out more, he returns to the office and starts browsing through her photos, which are mostly family pictures, until he finds a folder titled Love. He tries to open it, but it's password protected. After several failed guesses, he revisits the other photos and notices pictures of with Ralph from the last fashion show they attended, images that reveal Ralph was very close to her. Suddenly, an email pops up from someone named Ralph, which says he's reminding of their love and urges her to forget everything and come to him to rekindle their past romance. The next morning, Mark heads to the fashion house and confronts Ralph, asking, "Were you involved with?" Ralph responds, "No, but I wish we'd been closer. You're not right for her. I don't understand why she loved or married you." The owner of the fashion house then tells Mark she knew had someone else in her life, but it was Ralph and she doesn't know who it was. Disbelieving, Mark leaves and visits Grace. He reveals everything he's discovered, but Grace dismisses him, insisting, "I won't let you speak that way about my mom." She even sets up a guest room for him to sleep in. However, Mark leaves her house and heads back home. Later, Mark sends Ralph a message saying, "The woman you emailed no longer exists," and he deletes that message. The following day at work, Mark asks his secretary to call Joy, the company's cybersecurity expert, to his office immediately. Joy arrives, and he gives her the email address that sent the message to, instructing her to find the owner's name and address. She asks if he plans to go after the sender, and Mark replies, to find him and make him pay. He stays at work into the evening, but then Ralph's next email arrives. This one says love never truly ends because of all the memories between them, ending with gratitude for his response earlier. Frustrated, Mark approaches the security manager, said, "You were a cop before. Where can I buy a gun? The man refuses to tell him. Frustrated and worried about how far Mark might go, Mark tries various passwords on his laptop and finally guesses Lake, which unlocks the folder. Shocked, he sees photos of with a different man in Milan, images showing them together at restaurants by the lake and in a hotel. It's clear had a secret relationship. Joy then provides him with details of the email's sender, Ralph, a 36-year-old living in Milan. Mark quickly books a flight and a hotel. When he arrives, he goes to Ralph's building but can't get in, so he waits outside until a resident opens the gate. Just as it's closing, Mark slips in. He searches the mailboxes but doesn't find Ralph's name. Instead, he waits near the apartment, hoping Ralph will come out. Soon, Ralph appears and heads into with Mark tailing him. He watches Ralph sit down but doesn't approach. Meanwhile, Grace begins to worry about her dad and calls him repeatedly, but he doesn't answer. Then Peter is shown in his hotel room, flipping through pictures of with Ralph, the love they once shared, and his mind races. Early the next morning, Mark sits alone at the same coffee table where Ralph usually plays chess, waiting. Ralph arrives and confirms he's waiting there too. Mark invites him to a game and Ralph agrees. During their match, Ralph shares details about his background. His mother is English, his father Spanish. He doesn't settle in one place, loves traveling to London and New York. He describes how he met at a shoe factory in Milan when she wore a striking pair of red shoes. He admits that was 12 years ago. Mark feels a jolt of shock and betrayal, but he keeps his composure and asks, "When was the last time you saw her?" Ralph responds, "9 months ago, but I'm sure I'll see her again soon." At the same time, Grace and her husband visit Peter's house looking for him. Grace finds her mother's phone and listens to Ralph's message, suddenly realizing that her doubts about her father might be true. The next day, Mark and Ralph play another chess game. Mark asks if he used to visit Milan often, and Ralph recalls a trip to Cambridge where he met a woman from there, though he also claims he met her in Milan, a shoe designer. He tells Mark he first saw her wearing those red shoes, and they struck him as unforgettable. Ralph shares that they danced together in front of factory workers, and everyone cheered for them. He recounts how they ran through the rain that night, completely carefree. Mark remembers how returned from Milan, walking into their home with a smile, telling him she missed him deeply. It made him feel happy, convinced that the distance had strengthened her love, yet he never suspected her infidelity. Then he recalls her final words during their breakfast after that trip. She wanted to pick a special place. He handed her a piece of paper, but she couldn't write on it. The next day, she wrote Lake and handed the note to Grace for him to find after her death. As her health worsened, Mark and Abigail took turns caring for her. In the present, Ralph then asks how Mark discovered his affair, and Mark admits he found their pictures in a folder labeled Love on her laptop. Ralph responds, "I'm not proud of what I did, but I made her feel a love she never had with you. Maybe your revenge was sweet, but I shared the best moments of my life with your wife. She loved me, and thanks to you, I bought this nice suit and a luxury hotel room. I'll never be able to pay you back," Ralph adds, smirking. Mark walks away, furious. Back then, Lisa's passing is shown, her in bed, Mark and Abigail beside her, overcome with grief. Returning to the present, Mark goes back to Cambridge and reaches out to his daughter, asking to meet her in London. He travels there, finds Ralph in a pub he used to go to, and invites him to dinner, a memorial for Lisa. During the gathering, Mark introduces Ralph to everyone, saying, "This is my wife's friend, and I'm here tonight to honor her memory." Grace stands proudly beside her father. The final scene shows Mark and Grace waiting at the train station, ready to go back to Cambridge. Mark turns to her and says, "Ralph is a mere nobody. He doesn't even deserve our revenge." And so, the story concludes. If you enjoyed the movie, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.